Hi, I'm Andrea Grun, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. Thanks for spending some time with me today to talk about self care. You deserve to be taken care of. Don't think that taking care of others negates the fact that you need some attention, self care, and restorative time to yourself. Is this what you think of when you hear self care? That it's all about me, me, me? That self-care means you're going to spend the day at the spa being pampered and massaged. While that would be a wonderful thing to do, self-care really means a lot more than just spending a day at the spa or having a pedicure or a manicure. Self-care is not selfish. It doesn't have to take a lot of time or cost any money. Why do we feel like self-care is selfish? Self-care really are different activities undertaken with the intention of enhancing your energy, restoring your health, and reducing stress. So, when we take good care of ourselves, we have a greater capacity to manage our stress. It increases our strength, spirit, resilience. It helps reduce the symptoms of anxiety, frustration, and allows us to help others to cope with these issues also. So, what is the point of self care? We want to increase the enjoyment of life. We want to be able to be resilient, to have the ability to cope with things that go on in everyday life, whether they're stressful, something sad, or something happy. Self care puts us in a great position to achieve our goals and our potential and maintain positive connection with others, both those in our personal life those in our work life. So, in general, everybody around us are who we come in contact with. Having a balance across social, emotional, physical, spiritual all contribute to our overall well being. And when we're in a good position, we're able to nurture and support those around us. There are several different types of self care. You may not have really thought of it before, but let's discuss some of the different types and what they include. First, let's look at physical self care. Physical self care includes a healthy diet. As a dietitian, you know we're going to talk a little bit more of that about that. It includes getting adequate sleep, regular exercise, even if it's just small breaks throughout the day. Learning to monitor and manage your stress in positive ways to help reduce it, making time for fun and relaxation. If we can combine this with regular exercise, it makes the whole thing work even better. And being aware of our use of alcohol or other substances as a type of coping mechanism with stress or other things in our lives. Emotional self care covers a lot of ground also. It includes stress management in positive ways. It includes being compassionate, being kind, having empathy for others as well as ourself. Quite often, the worst conversations we ever have go on in our own brain. We can be very negative to ourselves and say very unkind things. So, forgiveness of ourselves or others is a very important component of emotional self care. Holding on to negative feelings or emotions only hurts you. So remember, forgive yourself or others, unburden yourself with the negative feelings as part of your emotional self care. Social self care allows us to foster and maintain personal relationships, achieving the work personal life balance. And sometimes we have to just say no when people have asked us to do something and we feel either overextended or we're not excited and enthusiastic about the potential. We also want to be aware of our media exposure, whether it's social media or things on television. Be aware of how much negative or stressful media you are allowing yourself to be exposed to and the impact that it has on you. Spiritual self care, I quite often think of as nurturing or feeding our soul. It could be a spiritual practice by myself or with others. It can include meditation and prayer. Perhaps journaling is one way that you practice spiritual self care. With all of these components, there really are no rules. Finding what nurtures you, your spirit, and your soul is the important thing. Quite often, just getting out in nature, seeing the sunrise or the sunset, seeing beautiful plants and flowers really feed our happiness and feed our spiritual self care. Self care with food doesn't just include what we eat day to day and enjoy. When you do begin to eat something, whether it's a meal or a snack, I always ask that you take a look at what you're about to consume and think for a moment, what and how are these foods going to supply my body with the nutrients and the energy that it needs? Are they bringing me positive value and positive components? Or are they not really providing me anything that feeds my body in the proper way? The foods listed on the chart that you're seeing right now are foods specific to stress management. You will see that each of the different foods provide specific nutritive components, whether it's vitamin C or magnesium or theanine. When we have highly stressful times, and let's face it, most day to day, there is a certain degree of stress in our lives, these foods can help take care of your body and help mitigate or reduce some of the stress and the negative impact it has. So, self care has several positive outcomes, whether it's helping you avoid burnout at work or home. And let's face it, a number of us have now become school teachers in addition to our regular lives and jobs. Whether it brings you more enjoyment and pleasure to your lives, think of seeing that beautiful sunset or sunrise or beautiful blooming flowers and what pleasure that brings, what good feelings that brings to you. And all of these things contribute towards having increased energy, having increased joy of life. They're renewing to your spirit and to your soul. So we know that there are a lot of positive outcomes and positive benefits to self care. So why aren't we all doing a better job at it? We may wonder. Well, there are several challenges, some of which we're going to talk about right now. The first challenge is a superhero mindset. That's when we think to ourselves, oh, I should be able to cope with this. I can handle this all by myself. If I ask for help, it makes me look weak. Perhaps it makes me look incapable. and I don't want to put myself in that position. The challenge here is realizing when to reach out for help, when to ask someone to assist you, or maybe just to give you some advice or some guidance. The next challenge that we face, very realistically, is the challenge of time. We do have busy lives. Other people do make demands of us. This is part of learning to say no quite often, whether it's to a social commitment, if we feel overextended or not excited about it, whether it's covering for another employee or our boss keeps adding more and more to our plate. Part of our self care is expressing our limitations, both time and ability. So, having a calm, rational discussion and saying, I simply don't have enough time. I'm overwhelmed. There are too many other responsibilities for me to take this additional task on at the present is the best way to start working towards this. Competing priorities is a tough one also. We quite often say, just let me do this, let me finish this one more project. Just let me do this real quick and then I will take care of myself. Or we feel or are made to feel perhaps that somebody else's need is more important than your own need. Again, this is where learning to say no or setting your own boundaries becomes very, very important and is a useful tool. So, learning that the priority of taking care of yourself is just as important as somebody else's need, perhaps more so. The perceived value of self care is another issue that comes into play as a challenge. We may feel, or we may have been told, or had it demonstrated as we were growing up, that self care is a waste of time, that there's no benefit. You may have been led to believe through various experiences or have been told that you don't deserve or you're not worth self care or being taken care of. These can be very deep seated issues that sometimes we can work through on our own through self talk, but we may also find that we need some professional help to get these messages out of our head and replace them with the message of, I am worth it. What I want you to really remember and put in your brain is that your well being is just as important as everybody else's. That taking care of yourself is not selfish, and that really, by taking good care of yourself, you are better able to care for others. You are better able to give to others. You are a better employee, and you will have more joy and satisfaction in life in general. So repeat after me. I won't beat myself up for taking care of myself. On this slide, I wanted to leave you with several ideas for self care. You can see that some of these cost nothing. They may be something to do with other people, or you can do them on your own. Look over these ideas and pick one or two that you want to try and that you commit to implementing as a component of your self care. If you would like to talk more about self care, stress, good nutrition, or other issues, please follow the bit.ly link where you can see my appointment calendar and can schedule a date and time that's convenient for you. I wish you good health, and remember, self-care is not selfish. Thank you for spending some time with me today.